Welcome to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Be warned, the discussions in this podcast will contain detailed spoilers. For spoiler-free reviews of newly released films, please check out our channel Reviews Without Remorse on YouTube and VidMe. Enter at your own risk and enjoy the show.
My partner is a graphic artist. I am a computer geek. But life has a way of bringing people together. We made Reviews Without Remorse what it is. My name is David, and while some fight for a nation, I fight for the world. And with me is not a leader, not a king, but my hero, Joe.
I'll take it.
This is episode 97, and in this show we will discuss the Hellboy remake gets a trailer. Does it stand toe-to-toe with the Ron Perlman Hellboy? We'll discuss. Men in Black International also got a trailer this week. Nearly none of the original cast is in it. Let's see how that holds up. And then, suit up, bathing suit that is, as we literally dive deep into the newest DCU movie, Aquaman. How are you, sir?
I am good. I am very good. And Merry Christmas, my friend. Happy holidays to everyone.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy everything. Just be frickin' happy, people.
They warned us that something was coming.
If there is ever an end in this forever war, it will be because of you and your strong right hand.
I'm on your side! Sorry, my bad.
Okay, so... No thank you. No thank you on Hellboy. I mean, I like the look of it, but the minute Moni started coming up, my eyes just rolled.
Yeah.
Rolled in my head. And I just was like, that's the sheriff from Stranger Things. He looks good in the costume. Good on him. But then nothing else about it made me feel anything. It just kind of felt meh.
Yeah, boy, did I have the same feeling. When I heard it, I was like, oh, okay, Hellboy trailer, let's check it out. And I was kind of moderately excited about it. And as it went on, I was just like, wow, why is this not doing it for me at all? I can't, it was hard to put my finger on what it was. But just nothing about it grabbed me. And you're right, the soundtrack, that song, like, again, every single solitary trailer just picks some old nostalgic song and runs with it. And honestly, as much as I really like that actor, and I saw it, I was like, okay, I could see him as Hellboy. Once he started talking, I mean, the look was good. In fact, I thought he looked more like some of the somebody's artwork of Hellboy, you know, more than the original did.
Right, Mike Mignola is the artist.
I mean, it did have that look. But once he started talking and I heard his voice coming out, I kind of went, it's like, no, not seeing it. Not seeing it at all. It
really made me... I watched this trailer, and the first thing I said to myself was, I want to watch the original Hellboy.
Yeah.
That's literally what went in my mind. I was like, you know what? Ron Perlman, he's Hellboy. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
He was the perfect choice for it. I thought the first movie was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. And I wish that Guillermo del Toro had gotten to make his third part that he originally wanted to do. But for whatever reason, they decided to go in this direction for money. I don't freaking know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's written by Andrew Cosby. It's directed by Neil Marshall. Now, Neil Marshall has directed The Descent, which is actually not that bad of a flick. He's directed an episode or two of Westworld, of Lost in Space, of the Hannibal TV series. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen the Hannibal TV series, it's actually pretty good. But that's another story. You know, a couple of Game of Thrones. The man has credentials. And it looks, and honestly, from the look of it looks fine. I just don't feel anything about it. It just feels very bland.
Again, I'm with you. Nothing about this thing grabbed me. I haven't the slightest bit of interest in it.
Always remember, the universe has a way of leading you to where you're supposed to be at the moment you're supposed to be there.
Let's do this.
It took me 20 years to find you. How many people can say that? You are the best kept secret in the universe. And I found you, which makes me perfect for this job.
You really think a black suit is going to solve all your problems?
No, but looks damn good on you.
And in that same vein, I liked the original Men in Black movies. I thought the first one was fun and exciting. I thought the second one was okay. I thought the third one was a great return to form. And now here we are. No Will Smith. Goodness, what is the other actor's name? I can't remember. My brain just went dead.
Chris Hemsworth. Oh, no, excuse me.
The original actors. No Will Smith.
Tommy Lee Jones.
No, Tommy Lee Jones. Thank you very much. I'm embarrassed about that.
Yeah.
None of those things. And instead, we get Tessa Thompson, Chris Hemsworth, Liam Neeson, Emma Thompson. I mean, these are not slouches by any stretch of the imagination. You know, Chris Hemsworth is quite, a charming personality. Tessa Thompson has proven time and time again she's an amazing actress. Liam Neeson, Emma Thompson, I don't even think we need to say any further. You would think with this amount of pedigree, it would actually make me feel something. And instead, I watched this trailer and thought to myself, why bother?
Like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
I'm with you again, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is, except that it just feels like we've seen it all before. It just looks like another retry. I mean, and again, this is a series that's not even that old. So you're essentially rebooting, restarting a series, again, not that old. So what's the point?
Well, dude, actually, the first one came out in '97. It's a 21-year-old series.
Yeah, okay, but when was the last one? When was Men in Black 3? That was
2012, 5 years ago.
5 years ago. All right, so meaning if you wanted to, you could have just made another. Which, in fairness, they probably are doing. I don't know that this is a reboot necessarily, but it just looks like they have a new cast. So we're going to just go through the same steps as the first one. So it might as well be a reboot or redo or whatever.
Yeah.
But this was so unwelcome that I literally was watching this and I was getting annoyed at the actors who agreed to do it. I'm looking at the three of them saying, really, guys? Really? I mean, Tessa Thompson is coming up fast. I mean, to the point I shouldn't even probably even describe her as an up-and-comer anymore.
No, she's there. She's absolutely
she's there. She could do whatever she pleases. Chris Hemsworth could do whatever he pleases. This is what you guys are going to pick. This is what you're going to do. Another bland redo of Men in Black. I mean, again, this is another one good idea, and they drive it into the ground. I mean, it's like every other franchise that started out with some level of creativity, some spark, and we're going to just drive that. We're going to just keep turning that screw until it is stripped clean. And that's exactly what this feels like. There's no legs. There's nothing about it made me say, yes, I want more of that. I would just assume dust off a copy of the original Men in Black and watch that.
I agree. The trailer, the first thing that popped into my head about this trailer, the first thing I thought to myself was greed. This is such blatant greed, it's not even funny. Because they don't want to pay the salaries for a Will Smith or a Tommy Lee Jones. This is why they're doing it that way.
Yeah, but this cast of characters, they can't be slouches when it comes to pay scales.
No.
They must be paying them as much as they would pay another Will Smith.
I don't think that. I don't know. I have no freaking idea. Okay, the only cast member from the movies that they've continued on with is Emma Thompson's character, who took over as the head of Men in Black in Men in Black 3. That's it. It is a sequel. There's actually a point in the trailer where they show these artist renditionings, and it shows J&K attacking, fighting the Bug at the World's Fair in New York City. It is a sequel. This is absolutely positively a sequel.
Was Tessa Thompson in the third one?
Yes, she was. Emma Thompson.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
The other Thompson.
Gotcha.
We've got Thompson twins here.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So it's in the same world, but again, I'm watching the same beats, the same steps. It just, I could just care less. It's certain franchises you can't do them over and over and over. I mean, this one is probably. I guess somebody can make the argument that, as opposed to something like Jaws, for example, which another one which should never have been a franchise but was. This one, there is a level of the sky's the limit in terms of what you could do with it, I suppose. So, but again, I'm watching the same old, the same headquarters. Oh, she finds the headquarters. Oh, the same little critters running around. Hey guys, what's going on? Drinking coffee or whatever. Like, I mean, I've seen it enough. I mean, the third one was a stretch. They really had to sort of pull out the stops to come up with something creative to try to wring a third movie out of that sponge. But that's it, guys. That is it. I can't keep watching these movies.
Yeah, I know. And you know what else it's really missing? Barry Sonnenfeld. He's not directing this one.
Yeah. So, I don't know who is. I don't care who is.
Gary Gray.
Yeah, I don't know him. I don't know anything about it. It's nothing about it is grabbing me, and I could care less.
Legend has it that one day a new king will come who will use the power of the trident to put Atlantis back together again.
This is the exact spot that Volko gave me my first swimming lesson.
I already know how to swim.
Not even close. You have to forget all the teaching of the surface world. Go deeper. Uncover your Atlantean.
Arthur Curry learns that he is the heir to the underwater kingdom of Atlantis and must step forward to lead his people and be a hero to the world. Written by David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick and Will Beall. Story by Jeff Johns, James Wan, and Will Beall. Based on characters created by Mort Weisinger and Paul Norris. Directed by James Wan. Aquaman.
It's finally here.
I had fun, dude.
Keep going. I literally just came out of the theater minutes ago, so take the lead. You've had a little more time to let it simmer. Tell me about it.
Okay, so it is relatively paint by numbers when it comes to the storyline, but I did find myself engaged. I found the story of Thomas Curry and Alana to be well done. I felt that the acting between them, even though you would look at Nicole Kidman and oh goodness, I'm mad at myself for not remembering the actor's name. Please give me a second. Tamora Morrison. You would look at the two of them and think those two don't go together. But you know what? I kind of believed it. I kind of believed that Tom Curry and Atlanta were in love.
I had no problem with it. Sure, good.
I found myself enjoying the movie. I found that the effects weren't as distracting as I thought they were going to be. I thought that Yahya Abdul-Mateen was freaking outstanding as Black Manta. I thought that I got a kick out of Dolph Lundgren as King Nereus. I thought Patrick Wilson was pretty damn awesome as King Orm, even though he maybe shouted a little too much. I really liked it. I had a fun time. And by the end of it, I was like, you know what? These people, they really respected Aquaman, because this is pretty close to his origin.
Okay.
So yeah, I enjoyed myself. I had a good time. It is paint by numbers, but I still found myself having a good time watching this movie, and I can't fault it for that.
I think we're pretty much on the same page. I walked out saying to myself, well, even throughout, I will say this, it was not long into the film where I said to myself, okay, this is a shut your brain off and have fun kind of movie.
Yes.
And that's not a slight. That is absolutely, they were very clear up front what this is going to be. And just from all the trailers, I'd say we probably had a pretty good hunch that that's what this was going to be. So just enjoy it and run with it. If they can make it enjoyable, great. And I would say for the most part, they succeeded. It was almost kind of, there was a part of me that would call it stupid funny in the same vein as Venom, except with a lot more effort, a lot more fun, a lot more artistry. This was a very, very, they almost to the point where I walked out and I wondered, is that what overcompensation looks like? They were kind of so concerned that this, that the film, the Aquaman concept in general is, everybody, again, is this going to be a joke? Is everybody going to think this is stupid? Is everybody going to not bother? We need to just throw everything at this film but the kitchen sink. And they did. They absolutely positively did. And again, it sounds like I'm picking on it, but I'm not, because I, like you, I had fun with this. They really did. Again, everything but the kitchen sink. By the time the finale is going on, that was probably where it started to hit overload. And I was starting to go, all right, guys, now you're really trying to bombard me with just everything, to the point where I was even struggling to keep my eyes open at certain points. And I find myself, when these DC EU movies hit that kind of fever pitch, Wonder Woman, again, everyone sort of agrees Wonder Woman was great. Last 10 minutes is where they started to drop the ball, because they had to go that Zack Snyder-y CGI, yada yada. Justice League. Once the big battle starts to break out, and I don't know where to look, that's when I started to sort of fade out a little bit. Here I was doing the same thing. Once that fever pitch, and it was to the point where I was like, I couldn't even tell what I was seeing. I'm like, okay, it looks like he has summoned just every fish in the 7 seas to come fight this battle. And they were just sort of swarming across the camera to the point where I'm like, am I looking at like schools of fish? Like there was sort of crap like that I couldn't see through as I'm watching everything. So again, I would call it a pretty solid movie. Not a classic, not one for the ages. And again, this is meant as a compliment. As I was watching this, I really did say to myself, it's a damn shame that DC did not start out with their standalone films. If they just waited, if they just took a breath and waited and had a little patience and didn't feel compelled to get into a size fight with Marvel. If they just took their time and said, okay, well, all right, they got us first, but if we take our time, we could even do it better. If they started out with the Wonder Womans and the Aquamans, and this was the beginning of the DCU, you might have had something. You might have had a little more kind of a friendly, back and forth with the two studios. Who's doing it better? Who's doing more fun movies? What is everyone, and again, we just Marvel's got films coming out. DC's got films coming out. They're all fun. There's no point in getting into whose is better and whose is worse, because they're all fun. That's what this could have been. This could have been the stepping off point of hey, let's start off with our B-list characters, our Wonder Womans and our Aquamans. Then we'll get around to the Batmans and Supermans. They went the route they did, and you can't rewrite history. But again, I'm watching this film saying, now this to me is a little more of a response to what Marvel is doing. Marvel's got these movies, and here's ours, and these are fun too. So again, this to me is a little more what we needed from the beginning.
I wholeheartedly agree with that entire statement. As I was watching it, I almost felt bad for Jason Momoa, because I'm sure he was quite excited to play this character, only to have it kneecapped by the brief appearance in Batman v Superman, and then the shelled out version of Justice League we wound up getting, to the point that I'm sure he was probably pooping a brick thinking about how the hell am I supposed to do, how am I supposed to hold a solo movie with like the B-list character when the big guys can't hold it.
Yeah, right. They can't even do that right. How are we going to pull this one out of obscurity?
I'm going to give all credit to James Wan here, to be honest with you. Yeah. I think that he injected, granted, his biggest claim to fame is like Furious 7, but you know, this guy has a pedigree of his own. The original. Did you ever see the original Saw movie?
No.
You should watch the first Saw, just the first Saw. He is the writer of that movie. He wrote it. Okay. That was his first. That was his first stab into the world. Okay, and he also directed it. And he has done a bunch of horror movies that I found fun and compelling, smart in some respects. So when I first heard he was doing this movie, I was like, oh, goodness, I don't know if he's actually a good fit. And it seems like, from what I understand, he had a choice. They gave him a choice. Like, we'll give you The Flash or we'll give you Aquaman. And he chose Aquaman.
Okay.
And now I can't imagine anybody else doing it.
Yeah. He also did, if I remember right, he also did the third of the Star Trek reboot, Star Trek Beyond. No, different guy. Oops, sorry.
It's quite all right. I almost made the same mistake myself, to be honest with you. I guess we're racist because they're both Asian men.
I hear similar sounding names. I don't know what they look like, but yeah, I will say that too. He definitely brought.
Justin Lin was the director of Star Trek Beyond.
Thank you. He definitely did bring a charm to the film, or maybe a better way to say it is that he allowed the charm of the actors and the people involved. He allowed that to shine through. Because I did find myself, it was almost like the whole, my man, Jason Momoa, this ain't your granddaddy's Aquaman. Like, that was what I was ready for, and there was plenty of that. But the charm kind of came through this time. You know what I mean? Like, I was getting it. I was like, okay, now I see what the big, what all the fuss about this guy is. He's got a charm. And I have a feeling from this that I could see him going on to a lot of other films. I mean, I know he's done things before, but nothing that I've seen and nothing that's caught my eye.
Game of Thrones is probably his biggest.
Yeah, I'm sure. In fact, I've kind of, I've sort of been groaning about the Game of Thrones syndrome, where because that's so popular, every actor and actress from that series keeps showing up in other things that I don't think they're suited for. But again, here I get it. Here I think it works, and I think he was a lot of fun in the movie. It was almost like as long as I'm with him and I'm watching the stuff that he's saying and doing, I'm on board. I also found that the tone, I kept detecting kind of minor shifts in tone in the film. The girl who played Mira, there were moments when
Amber Heard.
Yeah, there were moments when I thought she was working great. There were other moments where I'm saying to myself, why is she speaking like a girl who just left the mall? Like there was times when I wasn't getting it. So she was, and I don't think it's the fault of the actress. I would, if I had to guess, it was kind of the script, because the script would bounce around a little bit in terms of tone with her. By the way, I'm not understanding, unless I'm forgetting things, she was in Justice League, right?
Yes, she was.
So they knew each other.
Yes.
I mean, they sort of made it pretty clear in Justice League that... And was he not in Atlantis in Justice League?
No, he went to Atlantis because that's where the second mother box was.
Well, where anybody didn't make it to Atlantis? Because I mean, here they made a big deal about how he's never even been there. Yet,
well, where the mother box was being held was not in Atlantis proper. It was somewhere outside of it to protect Atlantis.
Okay.
But they didn't make that very clear in the move in Justice League. They kind of sort of fleshed it out a little bit here, but it was basically run past. It was always like, yeah, we have to acknowledge this happened, but we're not going to talk about it anymore. It literally was like that.
Yeah, it was like she made the point of saying, "You saved us all from Steppenwolf, and now you have to save us from this." So yeah, they had a prior association. I mean, they knew each other. So here it was odd seeing her sort of show up and he's talking to her like he doesn't know her at all. Like at one point he literally says I don't even know your name. Well, they seem like how could he not know her name if they knew? But again, I'm pointing a finger at Justice League now. I'm not talking about this movie. It doesn't distract from this one, but just one of those things I walked away with kind of going, wait, what?
I'd have to rewatch the scene in Justice League again because, to be honest with you, that movie goes by so damn fast. I couldn't tell you what 80% of the damn dialogue was in that movie.
Exactly, yeah.
But at least here, I felt that I agree with you with regards to her performance. I felt that Momoa in his dude bro type attitude, when he wasn't dude broing it up, he was actually quite good. I found some of the scenes, the interactions between him and Mara's Amber Heard's character were nice. I thought that the chemistry there was pretty nice. When they were in Italy and they're walking around and she's eating the flowers and talking about Pinocchio and stuff like that, I found that to be charming. I thought that was nice. But then there were other moments where it was like, I guess a tiny. It's one of the problems I have with the movie that there is some very obvious tonal shifts that occur at various moments. They're jarring sometimes.
Yes.
They're a little jarring sometimes is the best way to handle it. But strangely, it still didn't detract from the movie. I mean, yeah, when I think about it in retrospect, I can see it so damn clear in my head. But I was like, but you know what? Part of a movie experience is magic. It's sleight of hand. And if the sleight of hand isn't obvious as you're watching it, that's a good sign of a good flick. When a movie doesn't do it right, you get like Justice League, where you can see the mistakes so blatantly on the screen.
Yeah.
And at the time when I walked out of the movie, it's like, holy smokes, this was a pretty solid movie. I'm having some difficult times trying to, take it apart. It took me a couple of days to finally say, oh, wait, yeah. So in that respect, it succeeds because it draws you in so well that you look past the mistakes at the time as they're happening and don't really start to see it until retrospect. So
yeah,
go ahead.
I would agree with that. Like I said, I'm looking at my watch. I'm saying to myself, like, it was literally minutes ago that I finished this movie. So it's all still fresh. It's all still boiling. But I mean, even as I'm watching this, I'm saying to myself, you said it in the beginning, it is kind of paint by numbers, where the script sort of writes itself. Here's a ding. Maybe not a ding, but I kind of felt like the Black Manta stuff. Probably, that to me was probably best kept as a post-credits for the next one. Like the stuff where he brings up the submarine, that whole scene, and he leaves the two to die, basically. I kind of felt like you probably could have left all that Black Manta stuff for the end and just done it as a post-credits, where they come out and they give him the, somebody comes out and gives him the costume. And instead of it being white and he redoes it, just give him a black costume and let that be the post-credits. Because I kind of felt like they were sort of trying to shoehorn that in just as kind of, fan service. Look, it's Black Manta. And it never led to anything. In fact, towards the ending, I kept saying to myself, all right, but that can't be the end because Black Manta has to come back. Like I was waiting for that storyline to go full circle. They don't. And they kind of relegate the end of that to a post-credit. Everything but the kitchen sink was sort of thrown at this film. So I kind of feel like, is that a deterrent? Not a deterrent. Is that a detraction from the whole, the overall final product?
You know what? I'm going to slightly disagree with you on that. I felt like having the origin, in essence, you have the origin of Black Manta and his hatred for Aquaman happening with the quote-unquote origin of Aquaman himself as the King of Atlantis.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with that in the beginning, and I felt like you needed to have it at the beginning. You needed to have him lose to Aquaman in the middle, so that at the end you can get him with Stephen Shin. That's who the guy was during the closing credits. By the way, the Asian gentleman. He's a pretty big villain in the modern incarnation of Aquaman. So that's kind of where it needed to go in this particular case.
Yeah, I did. I avoided spoilers. I avoided anything talking about this film. I have not seen any reviews. I did literally, as I was sitting in the theater, look up, is there a post-credit? Should I stick around? And I saw that there was one, and it said that was pointing towards a new villain. So I have no idea who it is, but I did catch that was somebody up and coming.
It's good that they introduced. First of all, the thing about Black Manta is he's muscle. He's muscle with a little bit of brains. He's kind of a good opposite for Momoa's Arthur Curry. But what we have now is we've got his brains, which would be Amber Heard's Mera, versus Manta's brains, which is Dr. Stephen Shin, in the next movie. And I think that could become a very compelling story. So I feel that having that, making sure that that's set up, making sure that we understand who Manta is, why he hates him in this one, will make for a better sequel. And this movie's going to get a sequel because it's doing boffo at the box office. And frankly, I'm happy that it is.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I'm not surprised either. The theater we were in was pretty crowded. Mary was kind of already groaning because there was like a line of young kids in the row. Like we almost sat behind them. Mary's like, "Are we really going to sit here?" We ended up sort of shifting over to the side. There was a little kid who must have gotten up at least 3 or 4 times to go to the bathroom, and Mom kept walking past us. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a popular film, and you know, it almost sort of has like a Solo vibe to it, where we kind of walked out of there feeling like, after The Last Jedi, we were just so burned on Star Wars that we were just like, screw this movie, I hope it does terrible. Then you watch it, and it actually had a little bit of heart and charm to it, and you were kind of like, you sort of softened up. You're like, well, all right, this wasn't the movie to take it out on, and I hope this does well. And that's kind of the vibe I got here. After the debacle of the Batman v Supermans and the Justice Leagues, where you're just like, just let this franchise die already. This one comes along, and like you said, very charming, a lot of fun, visually spectacular. So now you're kind of like, oh, all right, I'm with it. Let's help it out a little bit. I'm with you. I felt like this was a fun ride, and yeah, I would like to see it do well too.
Yeah, I agree. They even had nice little callbacks. The actor who played Manta's father, he actually voiced Black Manta on Justice League Unlimited.
Really?
Yes, he did.
Okay. All right. I like that. Again, I do, as much as I wondered if the Black Manta character should have been saved, I did feel that character was well served. It's, in fact, we've talked at length, every time we review a superhero film, I feel like they always struggle with the villain. It's like, how do we get this guy to A, get superpowers, B, to hate our hero? This one worked pretty well, I thought. I thought that opening confrontation was pretty damn good. This guy was a pirate, and he goes, I knew our paths would cross at some point because I'm the marauder of the seas or something or other. And the way that played out, and that was actually a little tough. That moment where, he basically just said, you guys got yourself into this, you get yourself out, and crash, boom, before the guy's pinned, and he says, please help me save him. And he's like, nope. He goes, you guys are happy to murder innocent people, you let the sea sort it out or something or other. See, the sea will deal with you or something or other. That was cold. That was rough. So I thought that was a pretty nice little, like when I see the two of them again, having it out, I will not have doubts about why they don't like each other. So I thought that was pretty well done.
The line was, you killed innocent people, ask the sea for mercy.
Yeah.
It was pretty badass.
It was. I really had to give it to them for that. I said, that was good. That was good.
Yep. So yeah, no, and I felt that everything with regards to Black Manta, every time Black Manta was on the screen, I was excited. I was really, really happy because that is one ridiculous getup, and they made it work. I made it work so well.
They really did. I mean, honestly, that costume was spot on. That was really the costume commander in me. Yes, was very happy.
Even honoring, because his original look, that test helmet that he did that melted, that was the original look of Black Manta in his first incarnation.
Ah, okay.
So they even respected that, which just man, they really. When I say that James Wan did his frickin' work on this movie, he did his damn work.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I really did. I'm with you. I really did feel like there was a lot of respect for the actual character. There were a lot of things in this movie. Again, when I saw it in the trailer, I was kind of rolling my eyes, and I still kind of rolled my eyes a little bit, but not a whole lot. It worked better once you saw it in context. So I really have to give it credit in that respect. Yeah, I mean, even though I wasn't crazy about the part with the kid in the aquarium in the beginning, I was kind of on board with it. It was kind of more of a, just real. It was a quick moment. I kind of felt like when I saw it in the theater, I almost felt like they spent more time on it in the trailer than they actually gave it the time in the movie. It seemed like a very quick one and done, we're out of here kind of a shot. Right. I was worried that was going to be like the tone of the whole film, but it really was not. And there's one other thing I really have to give it credit for too. They really did manage to change the scenery up a lot. Like for something that you thought was more or less going to take place from beginning to end in the ocean. In fact, the part of me here's a little knock, but it's not a bad one. When the wife, the two meet at Alana and Aquaman's father. And they're kind of blissfully living in the lighthouse. Sure enough, big explosions, and she has to leave because they're going to find her. And I kind of had like a Jaws 4 kind of moment saying like, you don't have to live next to the water. You could just move. You could move to the Midwest and buy a farm and have cows or something and not have to worry about people crawling out of the ocean to get you. They'll have to rent a car, But I did I was impressed with the idea that they did change it up, and they took some opportunity to. I mean, they go to the desert, like they're in the middle of the desert. And again, another scene I thought I was going to roll my eyes at a lot, but they did seem to work, pull it off pretty well. And like you mentioned, the scenes when they're in Italy, that surprised me a little bit. I was kind of surprised at how nice that was, and what a nice little change of scenery that was. And again, they really did. They pulled out all the stops to make it visually exciting.
Yes, and to humanize the characters in a way that I don't think they managed to do with any of the previous movies, save maybe for Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
and probably not until the next Shazam movie, which is the next DC movie that we're going to be seeing.
Yeah,
I felt these characters breathe to life. I mean, even Patrick Wilson. I mean, Patrick Wilson had the unthankful job of being the megalomaniacal, leader of Atlantis, and I kind of still found him personable and charming. I found the scene where he's basically asking him to, I forget what the exact line is, but it's just before they have their fight, and it's like, I don't want to kill you.
Yeah.
But
one more chance to leave and never come back.
Right. I don't want to kill you, but you're my brother. I don't want to kill you. I thought that was a great human moment.
Yeah.
In the flick, I really found that to be wow. That is great, and that's a callback to another callback to the comic. Hey guys, here's a crazy idea. They kind of followed the comics pretty closely, and you know what? They kind of got it right.
Yeah. I am hard pressed, and this is funny too, because if you ask me back in the 80s or something, I would have probably given you a much different answer. But I swear to you, show me an example of where they stick with the comics and it doesn't work. All you have to do is stick with the comic and it works. Stick to the origin story. Stick to what the original story was. Every time it works. when they venture out to different weird things, that's when they always get lost and things just come unraveled.
You mean like Spider-Man dancing to that James Brown song? Da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na.
Yeah, that.
just as one example.
Yeah.
The line was, because of you, our mother was executed, and I hate you for that, but I do not want to kill you. I'm going to give you one chance. Go home, Arthur. Do not ever come back here. You're not going to win this. A war is coming to the surface, and I'm bringing the wrath of the seven seas with me.
Yeah.
And he responds, I can't let that happen. And his delivery of the I know back to him was really nice.
Yeah.
Like, it was like reserved but slightly sad.
Yeah.
And I just was very impressed by Patrick Wilson's performance in that one scene. Throughout it all, this could have easily been a villain who chewed the scenery. Because let's face it, what is his motivation? They've been polluting the sea and stealing a blah 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 blah, and I've had enough, and I want to get back.
Yeah.
It is the most ridiculous, motivation for a villain since Thanos said, there's not enough supplies in the world. Let's have the universe.
Yeah.
And yet, I felt like it worked.
Yeah, and you're hitting on something too. I really did feel that the motivations of people was pretty good. I mean, in that exchange where he says, "Because of you, my mother was executed." Well, yeah, I can understand why you would look at it that way. And then meanwhile, Aquaman is saying, "No, Atlantis murdered my mother, and that's why I hate Atlantis." I can totally understand both points of view in that point. So again, I don't have to agree with both. I just have to be able to relate and see that they are motivated, and that part worked pretty well. So yeah, and by the way, I even like later on, like when Dolph Lundgren, and I love seeing Dolph Lundgren in a movie again, by the way.
Oh, I did too. It made me so happy to see him, but please go on.
I really liked, there was a part early on where he was kind of skeptical, but he sort of went along with the guy's plan. And then Mira says to him later on something about, you can't be this naive. You have to know that he's doing something, yada, yada, and you're just sort of playing along. And his response was, something like, okay, but our oceans have been attacked for too long now. So I'm at the point where I'm sort of ready to go along with it. And I thought that was pretty good too. I sort of bought what he was saying, and again, they did a lot of, and again, there was a part of me that's like, okay, don't browbeat me with the moral message. I get it.
Which I don't think they did.
Right. It was just enough to kind of get me on board and not get carried away. They do that sort of exposition-y shot where he talks about, the surface dwellers for years have been, and they'll show them dumping garbage, attacking the whales. And again, I was like, okay, it didn't get too preachy. You're right, but it was enough to sort of get me on board. So that by the time Dolph Lundgren says that, I've already, and again, just good storytelling, this guy has explained it in a way so that when Dolph Lundgren later says, but they've been attacking us long enough, slowly but surely, whatever, I got it. I agreed with what he was, with his motivation, so I was on board. I was there for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. There wasn't a person in this movie that didn't have a good motivation. Whether you agree with their motivation or not, they had it.
Yeah.
And I mean, even frickin' Tom Curry walking down to the end of his dock every morning to see if Atlanta would come back.
Yeah.
I was like, that's frickin' awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, I wanted to mention this because you mentioned this earlier. I'm pretty sure that part of the reason why they didn't move is because she does, and a pure Atlantean can't be away from the water for too long. They need to replenish.
Okay, I'll buy that.
That's comic stuff right there. But the reason why he can pretty much go anywhere is because he's half human, half Atlantean. So
yeah, okay, no, that's fair. It's funny in the beginning you mentioned the special effects, and I thought I agree with you that it was pretty spot on. There really was nothing that I was sort of I mean, it was obviously like just a CGI smorgasbord.
Right.
So
but CGI done well.
Done well, yes.
For the most part.
The only time I really kind of winced a little bit was like in the beginning, and it took me a second before I realized the father, when the two meet, literally meeting for the first time, and she's waking up on the couch, and I see him. I remember looking at him saying, why does he look funny? And it took me a while to realize I wasn't familiar with who the actor was. And I realized, I'm watching a flashback. This guy's going to have to come back later as older version. So they were de-aging him, and that's why he looked a little weird.
Yeah, exactly.
So it kind of was one of those where I'm like, why am I seeing? Okay, now I get it. One last thing too, by the way. I thought that the score, there was a little multiple personalities with the score, where it kind of started out one way, and a third of the way, it sort of changed into like the 80s synthesizer music, which really jumped out at me, and I liked the new music. Once it changed, I liked it. But it was almost like the composer got fired a third of the way through, and they changed composers, and they went in a whole different direction music wise. So I couldn't put my finger on why that was. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. Especially, I kind of liked it a lot once they switched. The beginning, it just kind of had that kind of, heart pounding, heroic, and all of a sudden it was like this funky Stranger Things vibe, and I'm like, okay, I'm with you. I like it, but just something that I was very conscious of when it happened.
It was a little bit uneven. It's not one of my favorite soundtracks, and to be honest with you, it was such a disposable soundtrack.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I didn't even give it much thought, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah,
it was serviceable. It relatively fit for the scenes that they used it in, but forgettable.
Yes, and honestly, you're reminding me too. By the way, there's a lot of songs that showed up, and I was like, those pulled me out a lot. I didn't get what that was about. There was a part with it when Mira and Aquaman are reaching the beach, and all of a sudden this rappy song kicks on, and I'm like, I'm not seeing that at all. And then when they were actually there was an old song that they pulled out of a band called Sigur Rós, an old song that I knew. Started playing when for the little romance of the mother and the father, and okay. I kind of was like, okay, I like that song because I like that band, and it's one of my funky little weird, albums that no one I know would ever like except me. And they play. I was like, all right, I don't know how this is gonna fly with everybody, but fine, I like it. But then when they get to Sicily. There was another one that started playing, like a little more of a boppy, I don't know what you call it, just a little teenager kind of sounding song. And I was like, they were remaking something. It was like a remaking of some song with a new boppy feel to it. And I was kind of like, hey, okay, that's fine. So yeah,
I see what you're saying. I wasn't a big fan of the use of, quote unquote popular music throughout it. I would have preferred just a straight up soundtrack, personally.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to give this like an epic feel, an epic feel, a royal feel. Like this is kind of like the sort of Game of Thrones underwater, right? But they were trying to update it with, again, Jason Momoa he had the quips that were very modern. So I get it. The idea that they're trying to also sort of keep it updated and fresh and modern. Yeah, but I'm with you. I kind of felt like just a good score would have worked a lot better. Those songs kept kind of pulling me out of the moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that down to somebody from Warner Brothers saying, we've got this library of songs, use them.
Yeah, right. We can't sell soundtracks with that stuff. You got to put some songs in here.
Yeah, you've got... I'm looking at the soundtrack right now. She's a Mystery to Me, which was the song... It was a Roy Orbison song, actually. That's the one that plays in Italy.
I was sitting there saying, that sounds like Roy Orbison, I swear to you, but it was like almost like a retooling of that old song. But I said, that sounds like Roy Orbison to me.
Well, it is. It's basically a U2 song that Roy Orbison covered. So that's why it sounded the way it did. And then you had, I think it was probably probably Everything I Need by Skylar Grey That's the only other one I see here.
Uh-huh.
There's also a song by Depeche Mode that they used called "It's No Good," but yeah, no, and a song by Pitbull.
That Sigur Rós song has to be on there. Sigurros.
Yes, it's I can't read it. I can't read the title.
They're I want to say Swedish, some sort of.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
It's a whole different country. In fact, they do songs that are like notoriously misunderstood because people don't realize that this is not even English. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think it needed a soundtrack. I don't think any, unless you're making like a Fast and the Furious movie, man, you don't need that type of stuff on a soundtrack.
Right.
For God's
exactly.
sake.
Yeah, this is not that kind of. I mean, again. I can see that. I know that they're trying to juggle different tones, this sort of classic epic battle versus modern, cute and quirky. But again, it's that, and I don't mind it, but it does have that kind of everything but the kitchen sink sort of feel to it. Like, let's just throw everything in there, try to appeal to as many people as possible. And again, I'm not, like I said, I think it works. It's pretty effective. But yeah, probably if he probably just sort of focused a little more. I think that's kind of what the thing just could have used a little more of, I think.
It would explain a lot about the tonal shifts as well. Maybe they were just trying too hard to do too many things at once.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a tiny miracle maybe that it all came together.
There you go. Right. And that is probably the bottom line, honestly. I mean, all of the nitpicks that I have about it really are sort of overshadowed by the fact that it's a miracle that this even came together the way it did. Yeah,
I feel like it came together well, and as well as you could possibly imagine.
Yep.
I wish that Rupert Gregson-Williams, that's the person that did the soundtrack, because he did the soundtrack for Wonder Woman, and I thought that soundtrack was fine. But then again, it was set during World War I, so it's not like you could play frickin' modern rap music or anything like that to enhance that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about the size of things. Well, he also did the soundtrack for Paul Blart 2, so
there's that.
You know what? You never see John Williams with Paul Blart on his resume, do you? I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yes. No, yeah. The days of the epic John Williams score for superhero films, probably not going to happen. At least not in the DCEU these days. But
no, but I would give Silvestri a lot of credit. I feel the soundtrack for Infinity War is outstanding.
Of course, absolutely.
My father was a lighthouse keeper. My mother was a queen. But life is a way of bringing people together.
We could unite our worlds one day.
Check it out. Arthur is talking to the fish.
All right, my man.
I think, like I said, you've had a little more time to let it simmer. Do you want to take this one first?
I'll take first run in it. This is a movie that when we first heard about it, we both sniggered. And we sniggered with reason. There was nothing coming out of the DCEU or the DCU, however you want to call it, at the time that gave us any sense of confidence that this would be a good movie. I liked James Wan as a horror director, but I didn't really know if he could really translate to something like this. I don't watch any of the Fast and the Furious films. It's a religious problem. That's just me. I have something against, movies like that. I don't know. We can talk about it sometime. You are totally going to make us do a Fast and the Furious series, aren't you?
Probably not.
Oh, thank God. Anyway, getting back to this movie had a lot going against it. This movie, when the first trailer hit, I had a chip on my shoulder already. It was even bigger by the first trailer. It was the second trailer that truly kind of cracked my heart a little bit to the point of, well, you know what? Maybe this might work. And honestly, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that it did. It's not a perfect movie. No movie really is ever perfect, regardless of the 10s we throw out. But for what it was, for the ridiculousness of its origin and everything else, the fact that I had a good time watching it, the fact that my son and I, we would turn to each other and be like, oh, that was so good. Those moments were great for me. Like, little moments for him were awesome. Like when Orm puts the mask on, the Ocean Master mask, that's part of his costume from his character. When he put that on, Liam just like lost it. It's like, Dad. I'm like, I know, it's so cool. As a comic book geek, I really had a very good time watching this movie. And as a fan of movies in general, I had a good time watching this movie. I'm not ashamed of it. I don't think anybody should be ashamed of it. They did it right. They finally got a standalone male character movie right in the DCU. I gave this one a 7. And it's a strong 7. The only reason I didn't give it an 8 is because I still feel that they tried to squinch too much in. The fact that it works is a miracle, but still, it is overstuffed, and it is filled with things. I was really, really close. It's like a 7.9998. It's really that close to an 8. But I still liked it a lot, and I still highly recommend that people go see it.
That's interesting, because I also gave it a 7. I thought for sure you were going to go for an 8. In fact, as you were talking, I said, I'm like, is he going to go for a 9? I really thought you were going to go a little bit higher. But I'm with you there. I kind of feel the same way. I feel like this is a solid 7, but I'm also sort of with you that it's a high 7. That it is a film that is very, very much worth people's time. I think you will enjoy it very much. It's the perfect afternoon matinee popcorn kind of a movie. So yeah, I was very pleased. I was very surprised that they could actually pull this off. Like you said, it's hardly perfect, and there's a lot of things in there, kind of worth the giggle and the eye roll a little bit. Again, I still don't understand why Aquaman wears black leather pants. I don't, the spaceships are all shaped like fish. That's fine. Things like that just kind of make you kind of giggle and go, oh, this is fun. There were moments, honestly, when Willem Dafoe's character was talking that I was literally sitting there just amazed, saying, wow, that's Willem Dafoe. And he's actually uttering those lines without cracking a smile. So yeah, but like I said, it's a fun ride. I really wish that this and Wonder Woman were the starting points of the DCU, I'm not even sure what they are right now, because I'm not sure what the DCU is doing now. I almost feel like in a way they might look back and say, I almost feel like franchises these days, especially DC, they seem to, it's almost like every studio exec, there's a big giant reset button on his desk. And boy, do they love hitting that reset button. Every time things just don't go swimmingly and perfect, bop, they hit the reset button again. Oh, we're going to start over. Spider-Man, Spider-Man 3 wasn't great. Bop, reset. So I wouldn't even put it past them if they said, look, let's just say that the Wonder Woman movie and Aquaman, that's where we're really going to start the DCU. And we'll just redo Batman, we'll redo Superman, which I think they're kind of doing already. I mean, they've been talking about Batman forever. And I think that's...
Pun not intended.
Right. That seems to have gotten... It seems to change identity every few months. Actors, directors. So, for all we know, they might just turn around and actually do what we're talking about, and just let's just call those two the new, the new DCE, and we'll just reset Superman and Batman, whatever. So who knows? So I don't know. Like I said, I did enjoy it. It was way over the top. It's a bubblegum popcorn movie for sure. Just have fun with it. And yeah, so 7 it is.
Agreed. But,
my friend, it was not a perfect movie. So who asked you?
There is a lot of nitpicky things. It really boils down to nitpicky more than anything else. We talked about the tonal shift. That, was hard, but like I said, like a good magician, they managed to, gloss over a lot of that. This movie's going to suffer, I think, from repeated viewings, because it is pretty much a straightforward plot, and it isn't perfectly assembled, but it pulls the wool over your eyes. I feel like this movie's going to suffer from repeated viewings. The one thing that I just could not get over, and I want to change, and it was just driving me nuts every time it happened on screen, and it happened a lot on the screen. We've talked about it before, and it didn't improve in the final cut. Mara's bright red hair looks awesome underwater, but the minute you put it in daylight, I want to just shave it off. They need to tone that down.
Yeah, I that's one of the things that jumped out at me in the trailer, and you're right. It did. It was so oddly unnatural. And again, I mean, seriously, I'm talking about a movie with people talking to fish and people riding giant sharks around. It's the hair I'm going to nitpick for not looking realistic, but yeah, it is kind of jarring. So I'm with you. I mean, she looked like Leela.
Yeah, and not in a good way, Leela.
Right.
Like Leela, it's like, oh, it's the future, different hair colors, tee-hee, ha-ha, ho-ho. And I couldn't even, they tried to, like, almost justify it by giving Patrick Wilson that really shocking blonde hair, that almost too blonde hair.
Yeah.
And the somewhat red in Dolph Lundgren's head as well.
Yeah.
But they all still stayed underwater for the most part, so like I said, it looked great underwater. It just didn't translate to the surface. The lighting didn't work on it in the surface.
It was weird.
When it was nighttime, it was fine.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it does make you sort of say, like, what am I supposed to be getting from that? That she dyed her hair that funny color? Because, right, nobody else had this weird, unnatural hair. I mean, again, the whole point of the film, the backstory is that Atlantis is nothing more than any other surface city. They fell underwater, and instead of just all drowning, they just adapted. Okay, all right. So we were still related. So why does she have that funky, weird color when no one else does? And even Dolph Lundgren's character had like more of just a regular gingery red kind of a color.
Yeah, with a little bit of white, like a salt and pepper. For
little wisps of white.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm with you. I thought that was kind of weird looking.
And how about you?
I'm gonna stick with the same character, but for different reasons. I honestly just sort of felt like, again, in an attempt to make her funny and charming, they do a lot of weird stuff with her. Like I said, she has moments of being, the only one in the room who's making any sense. She was very wise. She was very whatever. And then suddenly she would sort of just switch gears into something else, and this weird comedy relief. I mean, again, I get that she's a fish out of water character, pun intended, literally. The part where she starts eating the flowers, why? I mean, again, these people, they have knowledge of the surface, so it's not like, I mean, even if they don't, I mean, I liked the back and forth, by the way. Well, you shouldn't hate on a place that you've never visited. Yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't hate on a place you never visited. Well, okay, I like that. I thought that was point well taken either way. But again, like just things like that, like the eating of the flowers, the Pinocchio. She for some reason that kid hands her the book Pinocchio for no reason whatsoever, just coincidentally happened to be the one he referenced 5 minutes earlier. Okay.
Okay.
So, like I said, I felt like her character was kind of all over the place. And again, it was the one that I really sort of noticed that they didn't seem to know exactly what to do with her. One little rewrite probably could have fixed that. So that's it.
All right. That's fair enough, dude. I felt the stuff in Italy was nice. I thought it was a nice change of pace, and I thought that it kind of worked. That's just me, but I can completely get where you're coming from with it.
Well, I mean, I thought the scene was fine.
She definitely was uneven.
Yeah,
the movie.
I mean, the scene was fine. The Italy stuff was fine. I liked that they gave everyone in the film enough time to flesh out their characters. And I appreciated that. I thought the romance between the two, again, you take her to the most beautiful city in the world, there's going to be a little romance. Okay, I'm on board. Yeah, it was just the imbalance of her characters is what I'm focused on.
No, that makes sense. Absolutely. What about for your consideration, sir?
I'm so fresh with this film. I really hadn't even had a moment to consider a lot of stuff. I will just say that I bought so many of the characters. Maybe I'll just give it to the Black Manta character, as much as, like I said before, he probably could have been saved, but I mean that in a good way, meaning he was so good. Maybe you shouldn't have, shoehorned him into this, which already had a ton of stuff going on. But again, I thought his origin as a character was pretty spot on. I did like the idea, here's a supervillain now who has a pretty good origin, who's got good reason to lock horns with our hero. As opposed to, you're a fraud, Spider-Man, and so I thought that was pretty well done. I'll give it to that.
All right, I think that's an excellent choice. I really did enjoy the Manta character, and I'm looking forward to more of him.
And what about you?
For me, this is going to be an interesting one. You mentioned it earlier, and I held back from getting really excited about it. Okay, one of the plots of the movie is that Orm is trying to trick King Nereus to commit to war with the surface world. And he does the oldest trick in the book. The oldest trick in the book is, oh no, look, the surface people are attacking us. See, we have to band together to fight against them. And Nereus is like, yes, we must fight against them. And I'm like, okay, that is like the oldest trick in the book. But later in the movie, when Mira is talking to her father, it's like, how could you have fallen for this? And he looks at her and is like, I didn't. I thought that was freaking awesome. I was like, thank you. Thank you for taking that trope and just like turning it on its heel and making it like, you know what? Yeah, I knew he was faking it, but screw it.
Yeah.
It'll motivate my troops, and it gives me what I need to fight back against the surface world that's been polluting us. I thought that was really, really nice. I've always hated that. It's like you trick the world leader into a war. And it's like, what world leader is that stupid? And the fact that I think this is like the first time in a movie where the guy was like, yeah, I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't care. And I liked that. I thought that was a great, great turnaround of an old trope that they've used hundreds of times.
Yeah, I agree with that. They easily could have turned that around and like had him like, what are you talking about? But then later on, he wakes up to, oh, you're right, I got bamboozled. Now I'm going to fight against him. You're right. They could have easily gone down that road, but they didn't. It was very smartly played out. I never did quite get who the submarine was, though. Was there somebody in that sub that we're supposed to know?
Oh, it was Black Manta.
It was okay.
Yeah,
all right.
It was absolutely Black. It was absolutely Black Manta. That was why he was getting paid the gold, and that's why he said, "To hell with that. I want Aquaman."
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm with you. Gotcha.
That's the other reason. That's the other reason why the opening works, because that's why they're going after that sub. He was acquiring the sub to use to use for that attack on Nereus.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. Okay, very good. Nicely done.
Indeed, agreed. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely, please go check out this movie. We enjoyed it.
Absolutely, and way to go, DCU. We root for you to succeed. We really do. So
seriously,
nicely done.
Please succeed. Please succeed more. Please keep doing this.
There you go.
But ladies and gentlemen, this caps the year.
Wow, did this go fast?
Indeed, it frickin' did. This is the last movie that we are reviewing this year. But fret not, ladies and gentlemen, not only do we have a whole new year ahead of us of many wonderful and exciting things, we're going to start it off with the thing that everybody's been looking forward to. Joe's Top 10 is next week, ladies and gentlemen.
I cannot believe we are here already again. I swear to you, this whole year, I kept looking at the calendar, and I would just sort of, scratch off as we would complete episodes. And like a third of the way into the year, I'm like, wow, this is going fast. And then halfway through to, wow, I mean, we're really here again. This is going to be our third Top 10 episode.
Indeed. We basically started with a Top 10 episode, and here we are, number 3.
We did. We absolutely did. So here we go. So yeah, looking forward to that. Means I got to scramble and make up my mind on certain things in the next week. Maybe even catch one or two more. But I got plenty to work with. So
I got to get over my addiction to Sons of Anarchy and actually start watching this backlog of movies that are on my list to watch.
Yeah. There was a lot. There was a lot to check out this year. So, looking forward to next week for sure.
Oh, I am too. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays.
And Happy New Year.
Have a safe and wonderful... No, we're going to do that next week. We'll do that next week. Have a happy and safe, wonderful holidays. Don't eat too much. Don't drink too much.
Too late for that, but... My friend, I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Join us here every Thursday for a new episode. And be sure to check out the Reviews Without Remorse channel on YouTube and VidMe for spoiler-free reviews of new releases, as well as in-depth discussions of current and classic cinema. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider becoming a patron. You can find our page at patreon.com. As little as $1 a month goes a long way. All clips in this podcast are used for commentary and critique, and is considered fair use. No copyright infringement is intended.
We now return to the adventures of Aquaman.
Yeah?
Hey, can you grab me another beer?
Yeah. Anything else? Maybe, a TV guide and, another pillow for your feet or something like that?
No, actually, you know what? Give me like a Dewar's and soda, and try to keep the salt water out of it if you could.
Try to keep the salt water.
Yeah,
we're surrounded by salt water. I don't. It's a little bit difficult.
I know. I'm just saying. Try.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try. Yeah. You want me to wipe your ass too?
Oh wow, that's a helpful tone.
Yeah. I'm just saying. You're kind of abusing your powers a little bit. Don't you think?
Actually,
it's a little bit ridiculous.
Actually, this is all time that could be spent getting me my beverage.